It's the Herd Line News.
Well, it was thought that the 49ers would trade Jimmy G this offseason, but GM John Lynch said that his surgery caused a big change of plans when it came to that.
I felt like, we were close in some discussions, and then, the decision was made to have surgery, and that made everyone. That just brought things to a screeching halt. People just don't do that, even with a likelihood that that everything's going to be good. But we continue to get calls about Jimmy, and one thing we kind of as a group got together, he's too good of a player. He's got a lot of great tape out there, so you don't just let guys like that walk out the door.
He's not a receiver.
Yeah, well, Jimmy G's got one thing going.
He's not a running back.
That Baker doesn't. People do think you can push him into your culture. He's a nice guy.
Oh, I mean, if I have to choose between Jimmy Garoppolo or Baker Mayfield, I'm 100% choosing Jimmy Garoppolo.
He'll find a spot. It's just not going to find it on the Niners timeline.
What's the difference? Jimmy Garoppolo played in a Super Bowl.
Right. And he also is a guy you can bend into the way you see the world. Of
course.
Yeah. When I always say this about Westbrook and Baker, it's like, this is my game, this is who I am, and this is how I got here. That's great and did make you rich. The downside is, though, I can't fit you into my culture. You're your own culture.
Well, sometimes what gets you there can get you out.
Yep.
So it's important to be authentic, but when it comes to what you do for your job...
You can be a little inauthentic.
You can be... It's not even about being inauthentic. You're not that good.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook is not a champion. Baker Mayfield is not even played in a championship game. So you can, bang on your chest and talk about all the things that got you to where you are, and that is important, and it probably did. But if you want to get to the next level, there's another gear you have to hit. I would, of course, take Jimmy Garoppolo despite the injury history. But what I don't understand is why they're talking about not letting him walk out the door. First of all, you were about to trade him. So the reason that you're keeping him now is because, obviously, you're not getting the trade offers that you want, which I wouldn't be greedy about him because of the cap hit that he has, $24.2 million in base salary. With the Niners this season, he has almost a $27 million cap hit.
Yeah. And they could use another corner and another receiver.
It's suspicious to me. It is suspicious.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're getting to a point now where I just want to see the camp. I told you, I think Trey can play.
I think he can too, but why would you keep Jimmy Garoppolo if he could?
Well, it does sound like they were trying to move him. They were getting close to moving him.
But he's right. There's plenty of tape on Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, we know what Jimmy Garoppolo is despite this injury. Like, what is the reveal?
Well, it's like Nakobe Dean in the draft didn't get a pre-draft surgery. There's tape that he's unbelievable. But here's why injuries scare people. Because if it doesn't go right, everybody goes, he was hurt. Don't you? You get ripped pretty harsh as an executive if you trade for an injured player.
But here's the problem. Here's where I'm running into an issue with the Niners. First of all, Kyle Shanahan is always playing these little shell games with everybody. Right? Like, oh, he's the starter. He's not the starter. We don't know. It's a competition in camp. We're not sure. So he doesn't ever want to declare a starter. Jimmy Garoppolo is a massive cap hit. We obviously know what they traded for Trey Lance.
Yes.
Everyone knows what Jimmy Garoppolo is. Everyone knows he's injury prone.
Yeah.
You got him for a second-round pick and got to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
So you got more than enough out of him. There's no point in being greedy. It's not a position that you want two of.
Right. Yeah. I think they want to move him. I just don't think they have a ton of takers.
I don't think they have a lot of takers, but I also think they're waiting to see how things go in camp with Trey Lance as well. So the league announced yesterday that they will not downgrade Draymond Green's flagrant 2 foul from Game 1 with the Grizzlies, and Draymond said it is not going to impact how he plays.
I'm never going to change the way I play basketball. It's gotten me this far. It's gotten me 3 championships, 4 All-Stars, Defensive Player of the Year. Not going to change now. My reputation is a badge of honor. Not everybody can earn that reputation. So...
Draymond was called for a flagrant 2 for unnecessary and excessive contact on Brandon Clark. He said he felt like it was a little bit of a reputation call. I would tend to agree. I do also think that if you're aiding someone to the floor by pulling their jersey, they kind of put the refs in a tough spot there.
Yeah, especially when you're in Memphis. I don't think the NBA is rigged, but I think there are home calls, the proximity of fans to the floor, they're swayed, college and pro.
There should be an advantage to being a higher seed and having home court advantage. There should be a little bit of extra
fans just don't want to hear that
way.
It's the refs.
All right, well, play better during the season and get the home games first. Like, I don't have any sympathy for teams in that spot. You know that happens. That's why you have home court advantage. I don't think Draymond meant to hurt him here, but Draymond's point, does have a reputation, and he's pulling on his jersey. That could have gone really badly.
Yeah.
The intent doesn't always matter. It's the action in these calls. So he will receive 2 flagrant points for Sunday's ejection. He has to be careful with that. That's what led to the Game 5 suspension in 2016, having too many flagrant points. Game 2 is tonight, and the Warriors are currently favored by 2, according to Fox Bet. Marcus Smart was already dealing with a quad contusion entering Game 1 and took 2 shots to the same injury in Game 1. He will be listed as questionable going into tonight's game. The official injury report won't come out till later this afternoon. He was Defensive Player of the Year. This is a big loss if he's not able to play.
Yeah.
In Game 1, he played 33 minutes, had 10 points and 6 assists. Game 2 is tonight, and the Celtics are favored by 5, according to Fox Bet.
Good stuff. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
DeAndre Hopkins, Arizona receiver, suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's PED policy. It's a classic. The headline is bigger than the reality. First of all, he'll be rested and ready to go by the mid and later portions of the year. That's the key to great receivers. Are they healthy and ready to go late? Secondly, Fox Bet did not change their win total whatsoever. And that was my suspicion. So there's 3 things to know about Arizona. Number 1, their depth chart offensively is about as good as anybody in the league. They just keep doubling down on offense. I liked it last year. They drafted the number 1 tight end in college football to go behind Zach Ertz. They brought in Hollywood Brown, who played with Kyler Murray at Oklahoma. So their offensive skill chart is crazy. Number 2, DeAndre Hopkins had only 42 catches last year, and they still made the playoffs. And 3, Rondale Moore is emerging as a star. He had 54 catches last year, but Christian Kirk was gobbling up some of his production in the slot. He's gone. Expect Rondale Moore to have in the 60s or 70s as far as catches. He's a star in the making. So the reality is DeAndre Hopkins is the headliner, but he's not carrying the movie. Also in this division, Seattle is in a complete and utter rebuild. Also, Arizona obviously knows between the injuries and the PED stuff, he's become a less reliable player. Remember, DeAndre Hopkins is one of those guys. He's not Randy Moss. He's not a burner. He's a guy more like Devontae Adams. You put him with a good quarterback, he makes a lot of really, really big plays. But he doesn't pull away from people. He's increasingly hurt. I like him a lot, and I love him on the team. But if you look at what they've drafted and they've acquired, I don't think it changes this team whatsoever. He'll be healthy for the second half. The key to this franchise right now, Kyler Murray's feet. When Kyler Murray played in the playoff game, and because of a fear of injury decided, I'm not running, they couldn't move the football. Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray's feet were the key to those offenses for a year. They're both good throwers of the football. They'll keep plays alive. But I think Arizona smartly has started doubling and tripling down on their offensive pieces, and it is an incredible depth chart at wide receiver, tight end. Oh, by the way, James Conner had 18 touchdowns last year. Joy Taylor with the news.
No.
Much quicker work. Joel Embiid is out, and last night the Sixers really needed a gem from James Harden, and they got 5 for 13 in lousy defense, and this is now what he is, and we've got to be okay with that. When it goes downhill fast as a pro athlete. In the bubble season, he averaged 30 a year. It wasn't long ago, 4 years ago, he was an MVP. But in the last 11 playoff games, he's been held under 25 points, and this is who he is. He is no longer a 1, and frankly, very quickly, he is now no longer a 2. He could be a 3 in a championship team. He closed too many nightclubs, he didn't take care of his body, and he's only 32. That is not coincidentally the name of the age of Cam Newton when he fell off a cliff, and Russell Westbrook's age when he fell off a cliff. If you don't take care of your game, and you don't take care of your body, sometimes it's both, sometimes it's Cam just one, it ends quickly. He is now 32 and 33. That's the age, 10 years of either neglect or just not staying current. That's what my wife always says. Stay current. Westbrook didn't, struggled to hit the 3. Cam's efficiency now is a huge liability. And James Harden just didn't stay in shape. Now, here's the good news. He can still be impactful. He can still be part of a great team. There are nights He can facilitate better now. But the thing I think if you're a Philadelphia 76er fan, the good news is he's got some self-awareness. He knows what he is. So I went and looked up this morning. He doesn't have a single game as a 76er with over 20 shots. Westbrook's still living in the tunnel. Carmelo forever lived in the tunnel. Harden's like, yeah, I'm not a 20-shot-a-game guy. I can't get those shots. So he can still be impactful. He can still be part of a championship team eventually. But they needed him last night, and he's just not there. This is what James Harden is. Now, I still think the Sixers won the trade. Why? Because he's a starter and a top 3 starter for Philadelphia. You had to get Ben Simmons out of the building. You're not going to play Andre Drummond much in a big spot late in the game. So the Sixers won the trade. But maybe it's not the slam dunk because he's a limited player. And if you combine Embiid's injuries with Harden's pretty fast erosion, he struggles now to get by people like he once did. This is not a championship team. If Embiid comes back, they can be a really good team. But Embiid's going to be hobbling through these playoffs, even if he does come back. And this is now what Harden is. The good news for Philadelphia, Tyrese Maxey is really good, and Tobias Harris can give you 23 points on any night of a series. But this is the reality of being a pro athlete. When you don't stay current, either you don't keep up with your game, you don't refine it, you don't sandpaper it every year, or you don't take care of yourself. The numbers like 32, 33-year-old